welcome back to the Chronic Chronicles. I'm Lexi, and today's episode is one that's going to stick with you. I'm sitting down with Christina, an incredible advocate, creator, and chronic illness warrior who lives with multiple sclerosis, endometriosis, and a laundry list of other chronic illnesses, like all of us. We get into it all, how she manages life with overlapping diagnoses, the emotional toll of not being believed, and how she's learned to advocate fiercely for herself in a healthcare system that so often fails people like us. Christina's story is raw, honest, and powerful, and if you've ever felt dismissed, gaslit, or just flat out exhausted by chronic illness, you're going to feel really seen in this conversation. Let's dive in.
I'm Christina Lucille. Hello. Hi. How are you? I have many chronic illnesses, so much so that I call myself a professional patient.
I love that.
It's what I do. It's who I am now. It's everything. I have so many, mainly multiple sclerosis, endometriosis, Hashimoto's thyroiditis, adenomyosis, dysautonomia. I can't remember everything.
I know. I feel you. Okay. That's a good start. So, which one were you diagnosed with first?
Endometriosis. 20. Yeah, okay. I've had this like most of us, I think we've had it since like we were like, I don't know, started our periods basically, or even I think they're finding it in girls even earlier than when they start their periods, right? Mm-hmm. But I started my period I think at 10. It was like 9 or 10. Early. Yeah. Childhood trauma for the win.
I know.
Yeah, so I started pretty early. But yeah, I started to get like really bad. I mean, my periods were always bad, right? Mm-hmm. But then it wasn't until I was like 20, 21 that I started to have severe pain.
Yeah.
And then I was like, holy shit. Sorry, can I cuss?
Yes, you can.
Great. Yeah, I was like, holy shit. It was like such like a lightning pain. I don't even know what to call it. I feel like you know.
Like a shocking kind of, like I used to say that I would have like, it felt like kind of like electric shocks like in my vagina. Like it was.
Yes. Oh.
Like weird. Like it does kind of feel like a lightning strike, like feeling.
Yeah.
And sometimes like in your butt too.
Yes. Oh my God. I was going to say that. I'm like, oh my God. Especially with bowel endometriosis. Mm-hmm. Holy shit. It's like a lightning strip is going up your asshole. It's so bad. I fucking hate it. Yeah. So I started to have that like really bad. Right. And then it turned out I had like a mass, like, like a huge cyst. And at the time, this was like, God, I want to say in like September we discovered it, and I went to urgent care, and I was so lucky. I've been such a lucky bitch when it comes to getting diagnosed with shit. Let me tell you, because when I showed up at urgent care and I'm like, yo, I have this really bad like pain in my pelvic area and I'm dying. There was a woman there who had just started working there, and she took me serious right away, and she looked at me and she's like, I think you have endometriosis.
Wow.
Yeah, like at the fucking urgent care, right? But they can't officially diagnose you until you after your laparoscopy.
Yes.
I never say it correctly. And she like got me set up with an MRI and stuff, and then I went and did that. I was banging my ibuprofen in my mouth like crazy. Oh my God. It was like so much. It was, bad. Yeah. I'm surprised I didn't get a stomach ulcer. I was really lucky again.
I know. I feel the same way. I like mostly have taken ibuprofen. Like I didn't start taking Tylenol or switching to like acetaminophen, like instead of what is it? NSAID, I think.
Oh, NSAIDs.
Yeah. I'm like, I can never remember the acronym for it, but I didn't switch to like Tylenol based things until recently, because I was like, damn, I like go through ibuprofen and that's all I've taken pretty much my whole life. And I'm like, I should probably switch it up every once in a while.
See if it helps. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like ibuprofen bitch, just because I know. My partner, she's allergic to NSAIDs, so she has to take
Oh
Tylenol.
yeah. Yeah.
And I'm always like, oh, that sucks because it doesn't do shit.
I know. I feel like ibuprofen does do a lot more. I mean, it's an anti
Yeah,
inflammatory, and Tylenol technically isn't. I don't think it's an anti-inflammatory. I gotta look, but yeah, I don't think that Tylenol really does much for my
I
cramps.
know. Yeah. I should probably like, I take like breaks, like a day break in between.
Yeah, I try really hard. Like, I will hold off on taking ibuprofen for as long as possible. But then, like,
Yeah,
my boyfriend is like, "Why do you do that? Just take it. Just take the medicine because you like it does. It obviously doesn't take it away, but it takes it from like
right.
a 10 to a 8 or 9.
Yeah.
It helps a little bit, but I wait until the last possible minute because I'm like, well, can I get through it without taking it? It's not worth it. Just take it.
I yeah. I don't know. I try not to like feel guilty about it, but
Hmm.
I'm like, it's fine. I've lived through worse. If I get a
Hmm.
stomach ulcer,
Yeah, we'll figure
it's
it
worth
out.
it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, we always do, right?
yeah.
We're women. We figure out everything.
So you had like these MRIs, and then
Yeah.
what happened after that?
So they saw like the huge cyst I had was
Yeah.
4 centimeters, right? And then they couldn't get me in. So that was like October, I think, late September, early October.
Hmm.
I got the results back and I was in so much goddamn pain.
Yeah.
And at that point, my primary care doctor, she was fucking awesome, let me tell you. Awesome. I was so fucking lucky. She put me on what is it called? Opioids.
Yeah.
I was so lucky. I mean, it
Yeah.
was bad. And it got to the point eventually where they didn't even work, which is crazy. But they didn't get me into surgery until February. And she like called my gyno at the time and she was like, why the hell can't you get this girl in like sooner? She's in a lot of freaking pain,
Yeah.
all that. I do remember I went into the urgent care once before I got the surgery because I ran out of my hydrocodone at the time.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's so
And
funny. I got,
yeah,
not to interrupt you, but I also had a prescription for hydrocodone. I didn't get the prescription until after my surgery and like got like officially diagnosed.
mm,
But it was great. I was 19 and they gave me
wow,
like
yeah,
literally like an unlimited prescription to it, which is a really scary potential because
right,
um could have ended badly, but I like I would only take it though like when I was like about to go to the emergency room because that's what they were going to
yeah,
do anyway. Like they would give me similar medication for the
yeah,
pain anyway. So I would try really hard to like wait to take it until that. But I also like
yeah,
hated the way it made me feel. Like I would get super, I don't know if you had this experience, but I would get like really nauseous and also like constipated. Like,
yeah. No, I loved them. This
yeah.
is so bad. I do not have an addictive personality, I
Yeah.
guess, personality, or like, which is, yeah. So for the most part, I did like well in them. I'm like, yes. It was like
Yeah.
the relief. No, I don't want to like promote them by any means,
No, no,
but
no. I totally
yeah,
get it. Like I felt I was so scared. Like I don't think I
yeah,
have an addictive personality, but I have like my family definitely does, and I was
yeah,
like
same,
petrified that I was going to get
yeah,
addicted to them. I don't know why though, because I literally hated taking them and I hated the way they made me feel. So I was like,
yeah.
why am I torturing myself? But regardless, I'm glad.
No, yeah. I think for me it was just like like I could not take them all the time,
Mhm.
obviously. And I got to a point where I'm like, is this really all that they can do is give me these meds and make me wait
Yeah.
longer? And I
Yeah.
didn't realize it was a problem, right? Because that was like my first time experiencing, well, since I was a child, that was like the first time experiencing like you know, the medical system, mostly because I
Yeah.
avoided going to the doctor throughout like my teen years. And I'm like, I hate you guys. Fuck you. Um, yeah. And then by the time that I went into the urgent care when I ran out though one time, and this doctor accused me of, was it like being an
Like,
addict, right?
yeah, like pill seeking.
Yes. And let me tell you, my primary care doctor, he was such an asshole, the urgent care guy. He
Mm-hmm.
was such a dick. And he was like, I'm gonna call to make sure your primary, da 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 da. And so he did. And my primary care doc, she told him off. And it was awesome. So,
I
anyways,
love
there's like
that.
that traumatic experience in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, by the time they got me into surgery in February, I think my cyst went from 4 centimeters to 8 centimeters. So
Oh
it
my God.
doubled. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so this was like this was the first surgery. And so they had to take out my whole right ovary. Or is it my left? My
Oh.
right. No, I can't remember which one it is anymore. But yeah, so now I have like one ovary,
Oh
right?
my God.
And after that, a lot of gynos were after that told me like, why would they take your ovary?
Hmm.
They were like, they didn't have to take it. And I'm like, I
Yeah.
don't know, but they took it from me, but you only need one, so whatever.
That's a good positive view on it.
Yeah, I because of that there's nothing you can do,
No,
right? It's
yeah,
already
there's nothing you can
gone.
do after that.
Right. And I looked into it. I'm like, okay, you only need one. So now I just
Hmm.
like need to keep this one going.
Hmm. Hmm.
Right. And then I didn't have my next surgery until like 2 or 3 years later,
Hmm.
which that is the best one for my that's when my endometriosis moved to my bowel areas
Hmm.
and on my rectum and like they call it like the cul-de-sac, right?
Yeah.
Then that yeah, between the rectum and the let's say cervix or bladder,
Yeah.
right? And like man, it was so gassy. I was sorry. I'm like really comfortable about talking about this now.
Yeah, no, you're totally
But
fine.
yeah, also like I'm definitely the girl that thinks like butt humor is hilarious. So give it to me.
Yeah.
Um
No,
yeah,
I
I
had
was
all the
like
like opposite stuff. Like I
really yeah.
I was like super constipated like uh, most of my life. Like I
Yeah.
grew up, I guess, like taking like Miralax. I also had my
Oh,
gallbladder
yes.
removed when I was like 15 though, and I feel like that had
Mm,
something to do with it. Like not
mm, right.
what I think is crazy is that I had my gallbladder taken out and no one like they just took it out and then that was it. No one was like,
Yeah.
"Hey, like this is gonna change like your diet, like the things that you should eat." No one ever taught me any of that, so I was still like down in McDonald's,
Yeah.
which you should
Without a
not be
gallbladder.
doing without a gallbladder. Like
Right.
I wasn't storing bile to break down fat in the way that like other people's bodies do. So I think that
Right.
that's why I was constipated. Plus,
Ooh,
probably
yeah.
like I have stage 4 endo and it was like everywhere.
Right.
So
Yeah.
but anyways, yeah, I it's funny
Yeah.
though how it can do like opposite things. Like I've heard a lot of people that have been like, "Oh yeah, like I had like diarrhea or I had like a lot of gas and
Yeah.
constipation." It can just do weird things.
I, it was sometimes it was diarrhea, sometimes it was constipation.
Hmm.
I was like really bloated and gassy, but I'd be really constipated
Yeah.
too. And it just, honestly, it was so all over the place. And like, thank God, like my partner was so chill about it because man, I was so bad. And she was, and at first, I actually went to go get a colonoscopy
Hmm.
before, and like that was all clear. They found like a precancerous polyp.
Oh,
So again, though, super lucky because had I like let it go on for longer, it would have turned into cancer.
yeah.
So I mean, at least I got that down, right? I fucking
Yeah.
hate that solution though. Sorry. And then like a couple months after that, I went and got my second endo surgery. I kind of knew. I did like my own research and I kind of like knew that it was probably
Yeah.
bowel endo because I'm like this is definitely like where it's like,
Yeah.
lines up with like the symptoms. And yeah, he was like, "Okay, so this is bowel endo." And I'm like, "Okay, what does that mean?"
Yeah.
Exactly. Like for the surgery. And he's like, "Well, it means that we might not get it all out because it's a really delicate area." And I
Yeah.
was like, "Okay, sounds great." And then he didn't talk about anything else
Yeah.
at all. No, nothing
Normally
about the
how it
risk.
goes.
Yeah, right, right, yeah. And I wish I had, because that now this is like 3 years after my first one, so I was like
Hmm.
23, maybe 24. Anyways, I can't remember now. Yeah, so he sent me on my merry way. I didn't think about any questions to ask him.
Hmm.
A couple months after that, I went in for my surgery and I got it done. And it was really bad, right? I also have stage 4 endo. So like, I mean, all my organs mushed together. I guess like my bladder and my uterus, I can't remember, whatever. It was stuck up to my rectum. And I'm
Hmm.
like, no wonder I got a freaking hemorrhoid. Like I was
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hemorrhoids are also really common with bowel endo.
Hmm.
That's
Hmm.
embarrassing.
No, it's not.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
yeah, I feel you though. Like the
Yeah.
when you're TMI, but like nothing's TMI on this podcast, but like when you wipe and it's like bright
Oh,
red blood and you're like, I'm not on my
yeah.
period. I don't know. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
it's not. Okay.
Yeah. And I was like, do I have cancer? After that, that's why I went for the
You're like, what?
colonoscopy. Yeah. I'm like, I don't, and they're like, no, it's just a hemorrhoid.
Yeah, it's
It's
fine.
great.
Everything's fine.
Yeah.
I know. I feel like a lot of times, like you come out of the surgery and like that's like the surgeons are like, okay, washed my hands of it. I did what I had. I did what I was supposed to
Yeah.
do. But then they like don't really give you advice. Like after, like I didn't even know right after my surgery, my doctor like told me that I had endo, but I didn't know anything
Yeah.
else about it. Like that was it.
Yeah.
And then it actually wasn't until a couple of years, I had my endo surgery 7 years ago. And it wasn't until like 4 years ago that I like requested to see my medical. I was like, I don't even
Yeah.
know like what everything looked like. Like she didn't really give me any. I didn't know. I didn't even know that there were stages of endo. She just like
Yeah.
diagnosed me with it and didn't tell me anything. And
It's
then
so
I like it's
frustrating.
so
Sorry. Yeah.
frustrating. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I asked for my medical records and like read the surgery report and it was
Mhm.
like stage 4 endo and like all like very obviously it's a surgery report. So it was like talking about what organs she found it on and like what
Mhm.
organs were stuck together and stuff. And I'm like, why didn't she tell me any of
Yeah.
this?
Yeah.
Like, what? I do want to talk more about your endo and kind of like where you are now, but I also want to ask you about your MS too. So when did that come into play? Was this happening like at the same
My
time?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I've had my MS since I was a child, and we
Okay.
know that based off my scans. And I see an MS specialist, and they're like, "You've had this for years now."
Mm-hmm.
When I went in, so I was like, it was 6 months after my first surgery for endo. That's when I got diagnosed with my MS because, and the healing process for me was really really hard after my first surgery, and I was like
Yeah.
passing out and all that. And because at the time we did not know I had MS,
Okay.
right? And so my MS kind of screws with everything too, and
Yeah.
the inflammation. But yeah, it was like, yeah, my healing process was really slow after the surgery. I remember the gynos being really like frustrated, being like, well, most patients are like this. And I'm like, oh, well, most patients actually don't have this, right?
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
it's so common. I feel like most of the time the doctors are like, you'll be better in like a week. But that's
right.
not the reality of the situation for a lot of people. It wasn't for me
Yeah,
either. It took a long time. And can you tell us really quick for people that may not know like what MS is?
yeah.
What are some symptoms? What is MS?
Yeah, so MS is basically when your immune system attacks your myelin sheath in
Mm-hmm.
your brain and your neurotransmitters. So basically, it creates lesions in your central nervous system, so your brain and your spinal cord, right? And it makes it really hard for your body to connect with your brain and vice versa. So the messages get all fucked. And you can't remember how to hold your bladder so you can wet your pants. You can't remember how to like say certain words or think of, that's like a big one, dysphagia. And you can't remember to walk correctly. So you walk like you're drunk. That's a fun thing we say. I'm not drunk, I have MS because, we
Okay.
walk drunk all the time.
So what were some of your symptoms like before you got
Yeah.
diagnosed with it?
Let's see. Yeah, like the childhood bedwetting was a big one. I was falling a lot, like all the time. One of the most specific things I remember from being like 12, 13 was I was a competitive volleyball player. And I remember tossing a ball up in the air and going to serve it. And my arm just gave out. Like all of a sudden, it just like
Wow.
stopped working, if that makes sense. Yeah, and that was really terrifying. And then just the fatigue is something else. The fatigue is just so bad.
Yeah.
Like, Yeah, I don't even know how to describe it, but like I mean, I think most people, right, who have fatigue, like they get it, right? It's just like you like get up and you never feel rested. Definitely for me, it's like I can't move for like an hour from the bed, which I feel like
Yeah.
also people can relate to. And then like sleep is all fucked. Like I'm such a I it's either you get up really early. There's two types of MS people. Okay, you get up like really early and then you use all your energy throughout the day and then you're like done by like 2, 3 p.m.
Mhm.
Or you cannot get up early in the morning and you have to get up at like 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. because I feel sick. I feel
Mhm.
really, really, really sick if I don't get up or if I get up really early. Just
Mhm.
yeah. And then, you just go about your day and then I don't run out of energy usually, but I don't know if that's from the ADHD or, the sleep.
Yeah. Yeah. What I know that like it's difficult because with MS and with endometriosis and considering you
Yeah.
have both of them, like they're both pretty unpredictable. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, for a long time, I feel like people have been like, oh, like endometriosis, you can kind of predict your flare-ups based on your cycle. And for some people, like that's true. Some people
Mm,
only have like endo flare-ups around their cycle, but for a lot of people, like that's not true. It feels like pretty random. So,
right.
what is your experience with like MS, endo, and also like POTS? Those are
Yeah.
all pretty unpredictable. So,
Yeah.
how do you like manage flare-ups and everyday symptoms if you are just like, this came out of nowhere?
That's a good question. I'm still trying to figure it out because
Yeah.
every 2 years, I seem to have an MS relapse. I'm kind of in between diagnosis right now. So there's three types of MS. There's R&R MS, relapse remitting.
Mhm.
There's SPMS, which is secondary progressive MS. And then there's PPMS, which is progressive. And I'm kind of in between the R&R and secondary. So I
Okay.
kind of have something called like relapsing secondary multiple sclerosis. So that's
Okay.
like it like I never kind of go into a full remission. Whereas
Okay.
people with RNRMS, which is what most people are diagnosed with, they have a remission phase. So I like, yeah, that one's hard because like, for example, I just lost like half my vision, kind of. I have like, or it's hard to explain. I have
Oh my
something called
gosh.
diplopia. I know.
Okay.
So when I look over this way, I have like complete double vision. Diplopia is just a fancy way of saying double vision.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. And it's better now. Like at first I couldn't see like in front of me.
Oh God, that must have
Like
been
it
really
without
scary.
yeah, it was fun. That was the most intense one I've had yet. It
Hmm.
was great. Learning experience for sure. Yeah, so it's just my two eyes would not work together. They hated each
Yeah.
other, and I could still see if I have one eye covered,
Yeah.
which is really weird, right? Honestly, during that time, this was like last year, or the year before. During that time, my endo and everything else just takes a backseat to my MS.
Right.
And so it is really hard to manage all of my shit, my dysautonomia, because what's weird about me is I don't have traditional POTS. I have like orthostatic hypotension and possibly something called stretch syncope,
Okay.
which, I think like that's
Yeah.
like not an official, but when I stretch, that's when I pass out right now, which is really weird.
Interesting.
I
Yeah.
know it is really
Okay.
I can't put my arms above my head without like if I know
Kind of
it's
getting
really weird.
lightheaded.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, and even like my Hashimoto, like everything takes a backseat to my
Hmm.
MS. And it is really hard to have, especially the endo and the MS, because honestly, if I were being honest, the one that I'd rather have gone is endometriosis. And people think I'm nuts for saying that because they're like, oh, you have MS and da da da. But I'm like, enemy, it is so fucking painful. Like,
Yeah.
I can't, you can't really do a lot when you're in pain. You constantly think about it. Like sex sucks. Oh my God. I don't let me tell you, the most torturing thing that you can have is like after I can't orgasm without being in extreme pain. And it fucking sucks. Let me tell you, if I'm in like an MS relapse and I want some pleasure, He's not gonna come to me. I'm just saying. Um,
An unfortunate side effect of a lot of
yeah,
people with endo for sure.
yeah. It is really hard to tell like what symptom comes from which disease and
Yeah.
like it that yeah. But I'm pretty sure I have it down at least with the endo and the MS really well because with endo I have severe right pelvic pain to like my knees. My knees hurt so bad. And yeah, I'm gonna see a new MS specialist who finally came to this side of the state. I'm gonna see if she will do an exploratory surgery, I think, next time on the top of my thighs because they have found endo there
Yeah.
in some women. Because I'm almost positive that I'm
Yeah. Like
like having
something.
endo in my legs. Yeah. Yeah. So,
I know that with MS for sure. And
right.
also endometriosis, like people are starting to believe like the science behind it, but inflammation is like a huge thing, right?
Yes. Yeah.
For sure with MS, but like I fully not even believe, but like there's scientific
Yeah.
evidence that like endometriosis is very much an inflammatory disorder.
Right.
So I mean, like the culprit to everything going wrong in both of our lives is
Yes.
inflammation. So like have your doctors talked to you about reducing inflammation or
No.
anything like that?
No, no, they don't do like my MS doctor is a saint. I fucking
Mhm.
love her. And she does her best but she's so overwhelmed in my area because she's the only MS doctor here, whereas in Seattle
Yeah.
and the other side of the state there's like MS clinics and there's like
Yeah.
MS eye doctors. I'm gonna be over there seeing the eye doctor, right?
Yeah.
Um, but she gets overwhelmed, right? And so I've been having to do a lot of it on my own. And then with endo, ah, God, no. No, no,
No,
no talking
no.
about shit. Like there's not enough time. There's not, but I want to say 22, 23, I discovered the link between gluten and endometriosis. And
Mhm.
actually when I cut out the gluten in my diet, it didn't cure,
Yeah.
obviously, but it did help a lot. And
Yeah.
I I don't know if I probably I do have an intolerance to gluten anyways, I think, but when I get
Mhm.
into gluten, the crazy part is right away, my pelvic area is where it hurts the most. Like
Wow.
I know it sounds crazy, but like
No, it
it
doesn't. Like
hurts so bad.
there's a lot of people that have sensitivities to gluten. And
Yeah,
obviously, if you are eating something that you're having a reaction to, and then
right.
like you have increased histamines and increased inflammation, like it would make sense that you're having symptoms from
Yeah.
that. The only thing that my doctors have ever told me, like anything about like inflammation or in that realm at all, has been like,
Yeah.
cut out all this stuff, like cut out gluten, cut out dairy, cut out caffeine, cut out sugar. And for me, I've just been like, no, like I don't want to do that.
No.
I'm like, I
Yeah.
love coffee and like my
Oh,
lattes
yeah.
are like mostly sugar and dairy and caffeine. So
I miss
mm,
coffee so
I
much.
know. So I was like, I'm not doing
Yeah.
that. Like, that's not what I'm
Yeah.
going to do. But I've started doing like one thing at a time for
Yeah.
a couple months, like eliminate like one thing and see if you actually are sensitive to it.
That's
So
smart.
yeah, so
Yeah.
definitely like gluten can be a problem. And if anyone
Yeah.
wants to like try it, for sure, just cut it out for a couple months. But then you also have to like add it back in and see if you're having
Right.
a reaction to it.
I don't, yeah. They were asking me, they're like, "Do you want to be tested for celiac?" And I'm like, "No, because in order to do that, you have to be eating gluten." And I'm like, "There's no fucking way. I don't
Yeah.
care if I'm celiac. I don't care if
Yeah. You're like, I already know.
yeah. I already have issues and it doesn't matter which one it is. For me, I mean, celiac
Good.
can get dangerous for some people.
But if you
Yeah,
are already avoiding it and you know that you
right.
have a reaction to it, there's no point in
Right. Yeah, because I'm like,
um
I don't want to torture myself anymore. But
yeah.
yeah, yeah, honestly, what helped the most was having accidentally getting my colostomy from my surgery gone wrong. And that's helped with my endometriosis, bowel endometriosis a lot.
Okay, listen, if you've ever had your period say, surprise, babe, 3 days early, or double the usual drama, this one's for you. Periodile, aka the MVP of my underwear drawer. These things can handle the kind of chaos that my uterus throws at me on a regular basis. Endometriosis flares, random gushes, crime scene level bleeding at 2 a.m. You name it, Periodial can handle it. They're leak proof, reusable, and honestly, way cuter and way more comfortable than my emergency towel situation from 2016. You will feel like you've got your life together, even if your hormones say otherwise. Go to periodial.com and use code Chronic Chronicles for a discount and treat your body to the protection it deserves. Your future self and your laundry will thank you. I can ask you a little bit about pediatric MS too. What did that look like for you?
Yeah. That I'm like, it's kind of hard to define because I also had other things going on. Like with dysautonomia, for example, the first time I passed out, I remember I was like 6 or 7 years old at my grandma's
Oh,
house.
wow.
And I went and told my mom, and my mom didn't believe me.
Hmm.
And so that massive trauma scar. Like my therapist, hello Maggie, I know you're listening. I love her. She, I've been with her for 4 years, and we've gone over that moment in my life so many times.
Aw.
So like, some of it it's really hard for me to say what was pediatric MS and what was like the other shit going on. I do know that I had like this stent from, so the earliest case of MS that's been diagnosed is a 2-year-old. Yeah, and so we know that it can happen really, really young. And honestly, we don't know exactly like the etiology of it. So like, if it's genetic or not, like they don't think so, but with
Uh-huh.
pediatric, it's just totally different, I think. For me, I had like a whole 4 month stint of falling downstairs at 2 years old. And then at 3, I fell off a slide and broke my wrist.
Oh,
Yeah, and then I fell down like right the set of stairs, and then I got like something else happened where I injured myself like within like the course of 4 months, and then I had
yeah.
like this really rare blood disorder called ITP, idiopathic purpura syndromenosis. I can't remember.
Okay.
And either that, and they actually just found out that that's an autoimmune. And it can either be, oh my gosh, what the fuck is the term that I'm trying to look for? It's like short term or chronic.
Okay,
So it
like
can,
acute.
yeah, yes, yes.
Yeah.
So that you can have it acutely or you can have it chronically, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and then that happened like in the 5th month of that stint of activity.
Okay.
So it is really hard to know what is what and what came from what thing or if it was like already manifested into it. But
Yeah.
I will say like a lot of things like just normal simple things with childhood and like being a teenager got confused with like me actually having, MS and
Yeah.
endo, right?
Yeah.
And like I'm sure you understand that, right? Because I feel
Yeah.
like most of us like had childhood or whatever endometriosis. I feel like that's
Mhm.
just yeah. So
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, yeah,
I mean, I remember, yeah, like crawling on the ground in pain when I was like
yeah.
12, 13, like from endo, but I
Can I
didn't know.
ask? Can I ask like what your mom or your parents said about that?
Not great things.
Yeah. I
Um,
was just
yeah, so my mom technically has not been diagnosed with endometriosis, but
Mm.
she had like pretty rough periods too. Like I remember my entire like life her being, sorry mom if I'm like divulging your information, but she'd be fine with it. I remember like my entire life like her being on the toilet for like a long time and her being like,
Yeah.
sorry, I'm like literally bleeding out blood clots, and I'd be like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And like I thought that was normal. So the things that I went through, like
Mm.
she thought it was
Okay,
normal
yeah.
because she went through it. So yeah,
Yeah.
she wasn't very she was like
Right.
like
Yeah.
and I mean she was concerned that I was like crawling around on the ground like in a lot of pain, but and she did take me to the doctors and stuff, but everybody said I was fine. So she was like, "Okay,
Right.
you're fine." And yeah,
Right.
periods hurt. Yeah, and I like bled through everything, but like so did she. So
Wow.
it
Yeah.
like, I don't know. She wasn't,
Like she didn't know her,
yeah.
yeah. My
Yeah.
my mom was kind of the same. Well, she got a hysterectomy pretty young, and they didn't find any endometrial tissue or
Yeah.
anything. But I was wondering, I'm like, well, did they say anything about like adenomyosis possibly? Because she said she had really, really bad period cramps. Well, I think she did say that she bled out and stuff. So yeah, same. It's kind of like our
Yeah.
moms. I feel like it was so normalized for them to be in so much pain and
Yeah.
for doctors to be like, you're fine,
Yeah.
so like,
This is pretty much what happened. But
yeah.
I mean, like, I remember in high school being like, no, like, we're not, like, I remember talking to her and being like, we're not normal. Like, my friends aren't bleeding through everything. Like,
Yeah.
this isn't normal. And she's like, well, maybe it's just like our genetics. Like, like your grandma was like this too, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what? Okay. And endo hasn't been like there's thoughts that it could be genetic, but like we don't
Hmm.
actually know that. And I don't know, like my grandma was never diagnosed either, so like I have
Mm.
no idea. Do you think that my mom might have had like something else going on as well? I'm the oldest and I have two younger brothers like from her. She had two other pregnancies, but we were all premature. Like
Mm.
I
Yeah.
was like a month early and then second my middle brother was 3 months early. Like things
Yeah.
were happening during
Wow.
her pregnancy, like not good. And then my last youngest brother was, I think like 2.5 or a month and a half early or something. Like we were all premature. And I'm like, I
Wow.
think that it could have something to do with adno. And I feel like
Yeah.
if she would have been, like going through that stuff now, maybe she would have been
Right.
diagnosed with something.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was just not much. I don't want to say support because I feel bad. Like she was supportive,
Yeah, yeah,
but
no,
it just
I get
wasn't.
it. Yeah, my mom and I have had like deep chats. Like I have a lot of grief and honestly like anger from the grief of
Yeah.
nobody knowing like I went through that. And I love my mom to pieces. And
Hmm.
she's a great mom and really, really helps me out now. But like, and I know like it is really hard with children when you're like, oh, you passed out, like
Yeah.
okay, Christina, like, haha,
Yeah.
whatever, right? And it is hard. You're right.
Hmm.
And like it is abnormal to have a child be so sick, right? But
Yeah.
yeah, I think my mom and I have had like chats about it. Like that's a huge part of my story, I feel like, is like the grief of
Yeah.
like my mom not seeing it, And it
Yeah.
and I don't blame her or anything now. I think it's just like
Yeah, but it
a
is
day,
still a part of it. Like whether or not, like I
right?
also don't blame like my mom or my family or anything like that, but like it
Yeah.
is still part of like your story and kind of like maybe some of the residual feelings you have towards it.
Hmm.
And I won't lie, like I do feel like that sometimes, especially like I got my gallbladder out when I was 15. We talked about this a little bit. I mean, I went through like I don't know if it was probably a mix of endo and having symptoms from like having a
Mm.
non-functioning gallbladder. But like I was in and out of the hospital quite a bit, like my freshman and well, yeah, like my sophomore and junior years of high school. It got taken out my sophomore year, but I was like going to the doctors like almost weekly and going to the hospital like pretty frequently because I was just in so much pain. Like it took so long for them to figure out that there was something wrong with my gallbladder because the doctors were like, "Oh, like we'll check her for all these things. She's fine with all these things." And then I actually had my aunt was like a little Google queen and she was like, "Check them, like make the doctors check for her gallbladder." And
Hmm.
they did it, but they were not happy about doing it. And it came back
Yeah.
that it was functioning like I can't, it was less than 10%. I want to say it was like functioning at like 5% or something, like
Yeah.
very bad. And that creates symptoms that I don't even know. Like it felt like I had like stabbing like under my ribs, but I don't know if that was gallbladder or endo. I
Yeah.
also was a cheerleader, so my mom was like, "Okay, well, maybe like your ribs are just bruised." And I'm like,
Were you a flyer or something?
"Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. That kind of makes sense, I
Yeah."
guess.
But I'm like, "But all the time?" Like
Yeah.
I don't fall that much, but
Yeah.
yeah. I
That's
also was
funny.
like a very clumsy kid. Like
Hmm.
so I'm technically blind in my left eye.
Wow.
I mean, like I legally, yes, but I can
Right,
still see
right.
out of it, but it's like super blurry. And when I was in kindergarten, like nobody knew that I couldn't see. My family
Hmm.
was just like, oh, she's just like ditzy. And
Oh
I'm like,
my God.
and then I guess like my kindergarten teacher was like,
Yeah.
she can't see. Like, you guys know that, right? And my family's like, what?
Oh
No,
my
like
God.
she's
That's
just
so
ditzy.
funny. That's so funny because are you like I was like, are you and I the same person? I'm not legally blind per se, but when I was like a kid, I mean, I did not know that leaves were on the trees. And like my prescription right now, it gets like worse and worse each year, probably
Yeah.
from the MS.
Yeah.
Or just like shitty genetics, honestly, at that point. Because yeah. And I was like the same thing. Like I thought they were like, oh, Christina, like little ditzy blonde girl, like so
Yeah.
funny, right? Yeah, total. Oh my God. That's so
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah. I would like, so it's my left eye. So I would run it,
Yeah.
like, I would run into things because, like, my
Yeah.
peripheral vision, like, I cannot see. I mean, I can, like, if
Right.
I close this eye, I can, like, kind of see my hand moving, but, like, not really.
Yeah.
Like, it's not really there. So when I would go to sit down, like, I would miscalculate and I would, like, sit, like, half on, half off the chair, or
Yeah.
I still do all the time. Like, I
Yeah.
run into things all the time.
Yeah.
My boyfriend, like I'll walk around the house and I'll just be like, ow, ow. And he's like, look where you're going. And I'm like, I am. I don't see it.
Stop abusing yourself.
I know. I
That's
like
funny.
constantly have bruises everywhere. But
Yeah.
yeah, so that is kind of like that started off. I don't want to say my family not listening to me, but like kind of because they were
Right.
just like, like she always has something wrong with her.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
did. I
Yes.
always did have something wrong with me, and I still do. So,
Yeah. That's fun. You and I would make quite a pair because like your
yeah.
left eye and my right eye would be like perfect.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. So I'm like, I can't like, ugh. I'm like over here, I'm like, I can see like four things at once.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Thankfully, my vision has stayed like pretty regular.
Yeah.
Like I had to wear an eye patch when I was in elementary
Mm,
school, which not a pleasant experience, but it was
yeah.
pink, so at least like that's cute.
I found really cute eye patches when I had to wear it for like the year and a half. I still do sometimes, but I found like really cute ones online. So there are like better alternatives now
Better.
out there. Yeah.
Yeah. When I was in
But yeah.
elementary school, like I don't even know if there were options, but I picked a pink one. I wore it. I had to wear it over obviously my right eye, my good eye, to try to strengthen
Mm,
my left eye. But it got to a
mm-hmm.
point where, and I wore like glasses and contacts like all through school and everything. But then when I started college, my eye doctor, who I had like most of my life or whatever, he was kind of like, your vision's not going to get better or really worse. Like the only reason that, because I hated wearing glasses and I hated wearing contacts. Also, like, I never understood. I would ask him, I'm like, you're asking me what looks better, but like nothing looks better. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know what I'm like, I don't know how to answer these questions. So
Yeah.
it got to a point where I would actually just like lie. I'd be like, yeah, sure. Like, that looks better. That looks worse. And then finally, like, when I was in college, I was like, okay, like, truthfully, there's no point in me coming here because like nothing makes it better. Like, my glasses don't really do anything.
Hmm.
And he was like, okay, yeah, so with your vision, like, I think what you have to understand is you're never going to see 100%. Like, what we're trying to do is make it so that your right eye isn't strained. Like, that's the whole
Mm,
point of your
right.
glasses. And we're trying to make it so that you don't get like headaches from looking at a screen all day or like straining your right eye. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, why didn't anyone explain that? Like, I thought I was supposed to be able to
Yeah.
see, not like
Yeah.
just help this one. Um, and he
Yeah.
was like, if you don't want to wear your glasses, you don't have to. Like, it's not gonna hurt your eye necessarily, but you might get headaches. So maybe just like have a pair of glasses if you're
Yeah.
gonna be like looking at books all day or something like that. So that way, if you get a headache, you can put them on. But my whole life, I'm like, why did no one ever tell me that? I thought that I was coming here to try to like see crystal clear.
Right. It makes sense though, especially like grow. Yeah, it makes sense that a kid's like, okay, going to the eye doctor to help me see. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then I would get in trouble because I like lied on my eye test. I
Yeah.
remember this one time, I think I was in like fourth grade, and my mom had to like leave the room for my eye appointments.
Hmm.
And then Which looking back, I don't know why she had to, but anyways, I would like kind of like peek around like the things to answer the questions because I wanted to like
Yeah.
I don't know, I wanted them to be like, you're good, cool. And then I remember the doctor bringing my mom in and the doctor being like, yeah, so your daughter's really smart because she can't see anything, but she's lying to us.
Yeah. That's so funny.
And my mom's like, oh, that's scary. And he was like, yeah, you're gonna have to make sure she tells you the truth about things.
But yeah, at a certain point, I think you kind of just get like sick of
Yeah.
going and doing the same thing over and over again when like nothing changes and like, I feel like yeah, children are hard because yeah,
Hmm.
exactly that because they can lie, right?
Hmm.
I think more often they probably lie about feeling well because they don't want to
Yeah,
disappoint their parents, they don't want their parents to worry. It's a lot of like watching. Like my mom
exactly.
was like really reactive growing up and she's neurodivergent. And so she's reactive, right? So I was always like basing my stuff off of her and
Yeah,
like, oh, I can't like upset her sometimes, or like, oh, I can't like I don't want to make her worry or whatever because she'll just
yeah,
like, you know.
yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah,
know. I
that's
feel like I did
funny.
the same thing. Like, I wasn't lying about my eyes being worse. I was lying about them being better. I was like, oh,
Right.
I'm fine.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't need those. Do you have support right now, like for all of the things that you're going through? Like, how
Oh
do you
yeah.
cope with all of this?
I I'm really really lucky. I have an amazing family.
Hmm.
My mom is amazing. My mom is awesome. I fucking love her. She drives me insane, but whatever. And my older brother Jonathan is amazing. I mean, my oldest is I mean, I just all my siblings. I have three older siblings. I'm the youngest. But like the oldest is 13 years older than me. My
Oh, wow.
sister,
Yeah.
yeah, she just got diagnosed with ADHD at 40. Sorry, Stephanie, I just said your age online. But yeah, like they're awesome and like I don't know, my grandparents are amazing, my partner's amazing. I have like great friends. I've been so lucky because I know so many people with chronic illnesses do not have that support. And
Yeah.
I've been through like a lot of shit in my life and yeah, I've always had somebody there and I've always felt loved. And that's really amazing because a lot of people, right, that
Hmm.
like are older now, they don't feel loved,
Yeah.
have like a lot of issues from their childhood. Obviously, it's like not perfect or anything, but
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. How do I get through it? I don't know. I think you kind of just have to if you want to like
Yeah.
live. And I do. I think I've always just had like a will to like
Hmm.
experience life.
Hmm.
And like, I don't know. It
Yeah.
just,
Do you feel like
yeah.
you have like a positive mindset on everything right now?
Yes. Yeah. Yes, but that got me in trouble because
Yeah.
now I'm so traumatized because I'm trying to learn how to balance being super positive and like honestly toxic positivity that I did to myself and actually feeling my feelings because I'm really good at making people think that they see it all with me
Yeah.
but they don't. It's funny because I'm like very like like type of personality. So I feel like people think that what they see is what they get, but
Yeah.
really I don't say anything about like how I actually feel about my chronic illnesses and my my poor therapist that I've been with for 4 years now. It's
Mhm.
like I lied to her. See, like I lied to her about like
Yeah.
um yeah, I was lying to myself though,
Yeah. Yeah.
because I don't really like to talk about these things out loud. And I think actually this year by like making my Instagram,
Yeah.
that's what's actually helped me and like doing social media because I feel like finding the community
Mhm.
right within like the disabled community and chronic illness and then like actually just I can't say it out loud how I feel. So like writing things and making my artwork
Yeah.
and like drawing and then like, putting the words to it, that's what's helped me. And actually, in my last therapy appointment, my therapist was like, so, because she follows my Instagram on my chronic illness one. And she was like, so how are you doing today? And I'm like, Maggie, I don't want to say it out loud. Just read my post. Because so
Yeah.
like, yeah, I feel. Yeah, right now I'm learning to kind of be vulnerable more
Mhm.
so. And I feel better doing it in the space of our little chronic illness community on like Instagram and TikTok because it's like with people who get it,
Yeah. And
And
they
like,
care.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And like, it's just, even with my partner who's like so beautiful and loving and she's amazing,
Hmm.
I couldn't even be honest with her because I'm like, I don't want to make people worry. I don't like,
Hmm. Hmm.
and then plus, like, when you're disabled or have a chronic illness, you feel like you have to be positive about it. Because if you're not, they're like,
Yeah. And
you
you
know,
also don't want to make it feel like you're just constantly complaining and like
yes, yeah,
to your partner, you know?
yeah,
I feel that way a lot too. Like I've been with my boyfriend for 9 years and I'm just like he's like been with me through my entire like diagnosis and everything. And
yeah, that's
there are
awesome.
definitely days where like I'm in a lot of pain and I don't even say anything because I'm just
Yeah,
like I don't, not that he wouldn't, obviously he would be supportive and
yeah,
like helpful and everything, but I'm just like it's like an everyday thing. Like I don't need to
yeah,
tell him every
yeah,
single day when I'm in a lot of pain. So honestly, like I feel the same way. Like this podcast and my Instagram for the podcast and stuff, I'll do like a
yeah,
story and I'll be like, cramps are horrible today, feeling like shit. And like I didn't tell my boyfriend that. I
right,
literally am just
yeah.
telling
Oh, I love
people that
that.
get it, you
Yeah.
know?
I no, I feel you so yeah, I'm the exact same way. Cause I just recently told my partner like, oh yeah, like I'm actually in pain a lot, but I just don't tell you. And she's like, what? And she's been with me together for 5, almost 6 years. So
Yeah.
through all of my 20s, which is
Yeah.
like every single year of my 20s, I got diagnosed with something new. It's been amazing. A gift every year.
Yeah.
So yeah, and like yeah, I feel you. And then when people like on social media, when they're like,
Mhm.
oh, people like this are like just trying to get attention and stuff. But then we actually like, no, we don't tell anybody else in our lives because
Yeah.
yeah, it's just a constant thing. And
Yeah.
it's just yeah, it's hard because like we shouldn't feel that way, but also we have to consider other people in the dynamic and
Hmm.
like, it's tricky. So that's why having like, yeah, the support group has been amazing. Me even coming on like to do podcasts has been like actually really healing. And it's something I was like, maybe I should push myself to do that. And that helps me open up more.
Yeah.
Because I am so traumatized by like my last surgery and I do need another endo surgery soon.
Yeah.
And I am like, I don't want to because I'm
Yeah.
like all
Well,
my feelings are like tucked away
yeah.
and I have to do like trauma therapy. So I can
Uh,
get to the other surgery, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
I feel you. To kind of wrap up some of our discussion, I do want to ask what's like this is kind of a loaded question too. I feel like it's hard
Yeah.
for people to answer sometimes, but what's one message you would leave listeners who may be dealing with like their own chronic health challenges or maybe like people that are thinking like resonating with some of like the symptoms that we've talked about, but
Hmm.
don't really know how to start? What's like one message you would leave them with
Oh, okay. Yeah.
about that?
Oh, I have it. Oh, I
Okay.
already have it. Do not be me. Do not be me as in I am a people pleaser and I did not push for myself. And
No.
I really wish I would have. And looking back, if I had pushed for myself and like for me, I was like a teenager, so it's kind of hard as a child. But even
Mhm.
now, like I don't push for new things that come up.
Yeah.
And really just like being an advocate for yourself. And being brave enough to stand up to a doctor and be like, you're fucking wrong. I don't care if you had like 12 years in med school, you don't know my body and you don't live inside it. I
Yeah.
do, right? And I think like taking that stance is really hard. It's really
It's
hard,
hard.
but I think by not being a people pleaser and putting yourself first, ultimately, you're helping yourself. Just come to conclusions like if you have a diagnosis or to get to a diagnosis and just getting the treatments you need. I mean, for anything. I think
Yeah.
just being brave and like pushing through and like
Mhm.
being like, standing up for
Yeah.
yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. Just listening to yourself, right? And
Yes.
standing
Yeah.
up for
I
that.
I am a huge fan of mindfulness and intuition and really listening to your gut because
Hmm.
that has helped me in so many ways.
Hmm. Hmm.
And yeah, I feel like Yeah, doctors do know some, but you know more when it comes to your body.
Yeah, I mean, if you are literally like for me, like I was crawling around in the ground in pain, and I'm like,
Yes.
that's not, and like I had people tell me that I was dramatic and all this stuff, and I like
Hmm.
tried to believe them in that, but I'm like, no, like in the grand scheme of things, they like their opinions don't matter like yours
Right.
do because they're not living in
Yes.
your body, right? Like if you seriously are in that much pain, like no, you should
Yeah.
keep pushing.
Yeah.
Um, Beautiful. Well, thank you. Where can people
Yeah.
find you on socials?
Chronic Pop Shop on Instagram and TikTok. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. It's named after Olipop. I always have to say it.
Love that. I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. It's the drink of like my life. I was not allowed to have soda growing up. So I always tell this story because it's my favorite. So anyways.
Okay, I really like that. That makes a lot of
Yeah.
sense actually about your name now. Okay,
Yeah. I
cool.
know.
I will also link that in the show notes for anyone that wants to follow you, which I think they should. Your artwork is super cute too. So,
Thank you.
yeah.
Yeah, I have fun doing it, but my hand cramps a lot.
Oh, relatable. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. That wraps up another episode of the Chronic Chronicles podcast. Thank you so much for listening today, and thank you so much for being a part of this ever-growing community. Christina reminds us that even when our bodies feel unpredictable, we still hold power. Power in our voices, power in our boundaries, and power in building community. If today's episode resonated with you, please share it with a friend, leave a review, and make sure that you're following along for more real conversations like this one. And as always, be gentle with yourself. You're doing the best you can. I'll see you next week on the Chronic Chronicles.